My name's Jody Kennedy. I work for Colorado Parks and Wildlife. Today I'm here to talk to you about the future of hunting and fishing and outdoor recreation in the state of Colorado. This year, Colorado Parks and Wildlife celebrated our 120th anniversary. So for 120 years, we've been working to provide outdoor recreation opportunities. We've been working to restore wildlife populations, like the lynx. And in this presentation, what I want to talk about is the next 120 years. So when we look forward into the future, what are our wildlife resources, our natural resources, and our outdoor recreation opportunities going to look like? We're facing a lot of challenges and changes in this state, and I want to talk a little bit about those and the impact they're having on our agency. And then we're going to talk a little bit about our opportunities moving forward to address these challenges. Colorado Parks and Wildlife has a pretty immense portfolio. In this state, we manage 960 wildlife species. We provide 41 state parks. Each one is unique, offering a variety of activities and opportunities, and they are located all across the state. In addition, we manage 80 game species. Colorado Parks and Wildlife manages more big game species than any other state in the country. We also stock 90 million sport fish into our rivers and lakes and streams every single year to provide for fishing opportunities. In addition, we manage ourselves 2.5 million acres that are specifically managed for their habitat values, for wildlife habitat and health, and then also for access for outdoor recreation. We think that these opportunities come at a pretty good value. If you want to visit a state park in Colorado, a daily pass costs $7, and that's for a vehicle. So you could fit your whole family in that vehicle for just $7 and visit one of our 41 state parks. A resident elk hunting license is just $45, and an annual fishing license is $25. That works out to be about 7 cents a day to be able to go fishing in Colorado. When you compare these costs to other recreational opportunities in the state, we think these are a pretty good bargain. And in fact, there's such a bargain that this is providing some challenge to our agency and our ability to provide for these resources. And I'm going to talk to you a bit more about this later in the presentation. You're watching this presentation, and so I probably don't have to tell you that outdoor recreation is important to Coloradans. It's part of our quality of life here in the state, and it keeps us active and healthy. Outdoor recreation in the state also provides a lot of economic benefits. Looking just at the slice that Colorado Parks and Wildlife provides in outdoor recreation and wildlife benefits, those contribute $6.1 billion every year across the state. And it's important to recognize that these economic benefits are realized in every single county across the state. So our rural counties are seeing these economic benefits as well as our urban ones. So thinking about the future, research shows that kids today spend about half as much time outdoors as they did just 20 years ago. When we think about the future, for this agency, it's really important to think about how are we going to provide opportunities for kids to get outside, and how are we going to inspire them to get outside and enjoy the outdoor resources that Colorado has to offer. Also thinking about the future, it's important to acknowledge population growth. You all have probably recognized just how rapidly our state is growing every time you sit in traffic. When you look at population growth estimates, they call that this state is going to grow by 2.5 million people just in the next 25 years, bringing us to a population over 8.5 million people. This is going to have a significant impact on our wildlife, on their habitat, and our areas where we like to recreate outside. In addition, Colorado's population is aging. Studies show that by 2040, the number of people in this state who are over the age of 65 is going to triple from where it is today. In addition, Colorado's population is becoming more diverse. And in fact, if you look at 18-year-olds, 18 and younger in the state of Colorado, 43% of that population is non-white. This too is going to have an impact on outdoor recreation and the management of natural resources into the future, and are things we need to consider at Colorado Parks and Wildlife. So I want you to understand that Colorado Parks and Wildlife is user-funded. we function a lot like a business in a sense. We rely on our customers to provide our revenues. So if you buy a parks pass or pay for camping at a state park, you are providing the revenues to operate that park and keep it open. In addition, whenever you buy a hunting and fishing license in this state, you are providing for those wildlife resources. The majority of our budget comes from user fees, and we rely on these user fees to keep our operating expenses, our management of natural resources, and all of that intact. It's important to note, too, that our wildlife budget and our parks budget must remain separate. This is mandated both by state law and by federal law. So if you buy a park pass, those dollars must go directly back to parks. If you buy a hunting or fishing license, those dollars have to go back to wildlife. Colorado Parks and Wildlife does not receive any taxes. Do you remember the year 2006? Back in 2006, the flip phone was the new cool technology. George Bush was our president, and Mark Zuckerberg posted Facebook online for the first time. In 2006, prices were also quite a bit lower. So if you look at the Denver Boulder Greeley Consumer Price Index, it shows that since 2006, prices in this state have gone up about 30%. That means that costs to this agency to provide for wildlife, outdoor recreation, and our parks, all those costs have gone up about 30%. This is important because while as a business we rely on customers to provide our revenues, we do not have the authority to adjust our prices. So while our costs have gone up, we have not been able to adjust all of our prices. And so a lot of the prices that you paid in 2006. So for example, the last time the state legislature raised resident hunting and fishing licenses was in 2006. That was when an elk license was set at $45 for a resident. So today, even though prices have gone up 30% across the state, your elk hunting license still costs $45. Same with a fishing license, still costs $25. Those prices have not increased. And so as costs have gone up, this has had an increasing impact on our budget. So speaking of our budget, recognizing these financial challenges, Colorado Parks and Wildlife is right now looking at a budget deficit that we estimate that by the year 2023 is going to be the equivalent of $28 million every year. This is going to have a significant impact on our ability to provide for wildlife, to provide outdoor recreation opportunities, and to maintain our 41 state parks. So a quick note about state parks. So the last time we raised state park fees was passes and camping fees. We raised park entrance passes in 2010, and we raised camping fees in 2015. At that time, the Colorado State Legislature also set a cap on revenues for the state parks. Basically what they said is we're going to set a limit to how much revenue on the park side this agency can keep and then spend to help pay for parks. In 2017, we reached that cap. And we didn't reach that cap because our prices went up. We reached that cap because visitation has actually gone up. Right now, we are seeing visitors in our state parks over 13 million a year. That's a lot of people coming to our state parks. And then at the same time, it triggered this cap, so we're not allowed to increase our the park pass fees that we charge, or the price of a park pass, or our camping fees that we charge, in order to be able to balance our budget for parks and provide for these increasing visitors. If you want to learn more about our financial situation and where our money comes from and how it's spent, we really encourage you to go to our website. If you go to our website at cpw.state.co.us, and then you can just search for financial sustainability, or you can do /financial sustainability. There are a lot of details on our financial sustainability, including all the revenue sources, where our money comes from, and then where it goes and how it's spent. So, recognizing these challenges, we are now looking to the future and thinking about how are we going to continue to provide our outdoor recreation opportunities for the state. How are we going to get more kids outside? And how are we going to maintain our healthy wildlife populations? And with that, I'm actually going to turn it over to my colleague, Krista, who's going to tell you a little bit about some concepts and ideas that we have looking toward the future for how we're going to address these challenges. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Krista Heiner, and I'm a policy analyst with Colorado Parks and Wildlife. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of our initial ideas for the future of hunting, fishing, and outdoor recreation in Colorado. Oops, let me go back. So last year, House Bill 171321 was introduced, which would have helped CPW achieve and maintain financial sustainability. While the bill didn't pass, it was encouraging to recognize the amount of public awareness that it generated about CPW's financial situation and the conversations it sparked about the future of parks, wildlife, and outdoor recreation in Colorado. So based on those experiences and the input we received from the public, we've refined some of our approaches for 2018. Here's an early look at some of our initial ideas that we'd like to have your feedback on. So as Jody said, the last time resident hunting and fishing licenses were increased was in 2006. And since that time, inflation has increased almost 30%. The Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission currently has the authority to increase non-resident hunting and fishing licenses with inflation each year. And just to give you some perspective, non-resident hunting and fishing licenses already contribute a substantial amount of our total license revenue. So we would like for the Commission to have that same authority for resident hunting and fishing licenses. Essentially, this would make CPW whole again by restoring the resident hunting and fishing licenses to the value they were in 2006, and then allowing us to increase prices for inflation going forward from there. But we wouldn't increase any license, or most popular licenses, by any more than $5 in a single year. So really, that's not that much more than a cup of coffee. So for example, an elk license in 2006 cost $45. In 2017, it still costs $45. But if you're accounting for inflation, that license would be valued at $58 today. So what we'd like to do is get back to that $58 value. But we'd start the first year by just increasing the cost of the license by $5. So we'd go from $45 to $50. The second year, $5 again, $50 to $55. The third year, we'd hit that target amount of $58. And from there on out, we just increase the price of the license as inflation increases. CPW would also like the ability to set application fees for the draw at levels that cover the cost of processing the applications, as well as the credit card transaction fees. Right now, the cost of all of this is valued at about $16. But this could be tiered so that more expensive licenses would have a more expensive application fee, and less expensive licenses would have a less expensive application fee. We'd also like to provide ample opportunity for Colorado's youth to get to know and love fishing. And one way to do this is by removing the requirement for 16 and 17-year-olds who are Colorado residents, removing the requirement to buy a fishing license. So currently, resident senior anglers age 64 and older receive free fishing licenses. And so that amounts to almost 80,000 free licenses every year. So not only is the license revenue foregone, but also federal match funds. So we would like to set a nominal amount, say $8 for senior resident fishing licenses, which would allow us to generate $1.6 million from license revenue sales as well as federal match funds. And that would help to offset some of the money that we would be losing by offering youth under the age of 18 free licenses. And resident seniors wouldn't be the only ones who would see a license increase. We'd also propose increasing the non-resident annual fishing license from $56 to $100. CPW would also like the authority to issue discounted outreach licenses for target populations, especially veterans and youth under the age of 26, for the purposes of recruiting new men and women to the sport. We'd also like to improve wildlife habitat and education. To do this, we propose increasing the waterfowl stamp from $5 to $10, and increasing the Wildlife Council surcharge from 75 cents to $1.50. So as Jody was saying, the amount of revenue that CPW can generate through parks is limited by a revenue cap. And we've already hit that cap, so we can't raise prices anymore. So we would like to update those limits to allow us to be able to adjust to rising costs, increasing inflation, and increased visitation, like Jody talked about. But as has been our pattern in the past, we wouldn't increase daily licenses more than $1 in any given year, and we wouldn't increase annual passes more than $10 in any given year. We'd also like to streamline some statutory requirements for park passes that are currently in the law. For example, there's a requirement that you have to have a pass affixed to your car. There's some requirements about the cost of issuing a new pass, and also some requirements about the amount of inventory that our parks can stock at their retail locations. So we'd like to update those to help streamline our business practices. So those are our initial ideas, and we would love to have your feedback on them. Do you have any other ideas about the future of outdoor recreation, parks, and wildlife in Colorado? Do you support these concepts that we've presented? How can we work together to build a coalition of support? So we ask you to please fill out the public comment form, which is located on the website. And we thank you for your time and support.